What's going on, Rutgers, Newark? We're out here at Frederick Douglass Field, dodging a few raindrops, about to kick off his 17th season here at Rutgers, Newark. How's that for energy, coaches?
Yes, I need some of that right now after about a week of preseason. So
ladies and gentlemen, let's make it official. Men's soccer coach at Rutgers, Newark, Mr. Kevin East, joining us. Kevin, so great to have you here. You know, all kidding aside, one of the veterans of the NJAC Conference in 17 seasons. You've accomplished so much, Kevin. Let's talk a little bit about how things ended last year, the 2022-2023 campaign. Heading into this season, you kick off the season September 1st against Lebanon Valley. Let's start with two main pieces that will no longer be a piece of the puzzle in an irreplaceable Franco Catania and, of course, Joe Alba. Let's start there. You can't replace those guys. What did it mean for you to be able to coach them, and what do you do to try to fill in the holes?
Yeah, no, I think obviously Franco, everybody knows what he's done. He was a guy that scored goals for us, even though he was being marked by like basically 3 people at once. So he's obviously hard to replace. Joey Alba, I always kind of said, was our MVP that nobody knew about because he never really showed up on the stat sheet, but he did so of the little things that it just made a huge difference for us and allowed other guys to have a little bit more freedom and express themselves and you know, create some you know, other offensive opportunities for us and defensive. So Joey was kind of a, you know, a little bit of everything for us and was great. So yeah, those guys, we're gonna miss them, but I think you know, we have a good group, and we ended on a high note with the ECAC championship, so it kind of put us in a good frame of mind for the spring coming into this year. You know, the group has goals and they're hungry. We're a little bit younger. We are, I think, deeper for sure this year than we've been in, you know, previous years. So yeah, I think we have a good group, and we're looking forward to the season.
Ranked 3rd in the NJAC preseason coaches poll. Do you think that's reflective of where you're at, or do you not give a whole lot of credence to those polls, and you sort of taking it a day at a time?
Yeah, I mean, nobody wins a championship off a poll, except for maybe college football a few years ago.
Right.
You know, I know what we have right now. I don't know really what other schools have, so it's hard to gauge. But I like where our group is at. I like the group we have, and you know, I think at the end of the day, we're confident we're going to be able to compete with most teams. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
You know, Coach, one thing that I noticed last season, and you know, there were games in a very physical NJAC conference where you guys may not have been the biggest team, you may not have been the fastest team, but your kids work. They work hard. They're physical. Can you talk about some of this youth and what your philosophy and mentality is in sharing your knowledge with some of these newer players?
Yeah, no, I don't think we're ever gonna like scare anybody by walking off the bus and they're seeing the size of our players. We've never been that kind of team. We're a kind of team that once we get the ball at our feet, that's when people start to take notice of us. You know, whether that be maybe guys that were overlooked at times because of their size. We don't really care about that. You know, we care about the technical side of the game, where the guys are in tight spaces, how they move the ball, how quickly they move the ball, because you know, ultimately that's the way we want to play, and we think that's the best way to break other, you know, opponents down.
If you could give us 3 players to watch offensively, let's start there for this team. Some returning players certainly could be on that list, and I know it's all about the 11 on the pitch, but for our viewers that might be new to the program, some players to watch.
Yeah, so I think, you know, I'll go with the returners at least, where we have Jake Milne, who was a freshman last year. Came into camp with an injury. Took him a little while to adjust to the college game because he's from England, and things were a little bit different. But he really came on as the season went. I think, and he's kind of starting where he left off. So I think he'll be, a factor for us. Aslan Kat, who was coming off knee surgery last year, never really kind of got going. But he was fantastic his freshman year for us, and he's back now where he was his freshman year. So we're expecting some good things out of him. And then we have, who's one of our, few seniors in Ryan Caruso, who gives us a lot of energy and kind of drives towards goal. He'll help us. And I think in the midfield, we had two of our more or less stalwarts were Pablo Moreno and Eric Morales, both very technical players and probably kind of the guys that I mentioned before that won't impress you really off the bus when you look at them. But once they start playing, they're ferocious and they are talented individuals with the ball at their feet.
And in goal this year, you've got two very capable candidates. Or is it going to be kind of a competition to see who gets the nod, or where are we in the goaltender category?
Well, actually, we have four. So we have two returners in
Julian and
Julian.
Oh, Julian.
Julian's graduated.
It's just in my defense, with COVID in fifth year and sixth year, part of why we sit down with Coach to get these things sorted out. So my mistake there, but tell me a little bit about the core that you do have in place.
Okay, so,
and Julian, thanks for your participation, and we wish you were here.
So we have Axel Klimes, who's going to be a junior, I believe, just because of the whole COVID thing also. And
thanks for bailing me out there, Coach.
Yeah. And we also have Pedro Flores, who was also a returner. And then we brought in two newcomers in Ilan Golden and Miguel Hernandez, who are both doing very well so far. So it's really, at this point, I would have to say a four-way competition.
Wow.
And that position is wide open. So, as we go, we're kind of evaluating and seeing how they're progressing. And so at this point, I think it's kind of still an open position. So
we're going to let you go in a second here, Coach, but with the academic standards here at Rutgers Newark, it's not an easy admission process for some of these freshmen coming in. And with the resume that you have and the amount of time you've put in here, the success that you've had, does that automatically help gain attention for this program because of your success? And walk us through a little bit about getting some of these newer kids in here and how hard is it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously always the academic side of it is a challenge for us. We have to make sure that we identify, student athletes that are strong academically, but also obviously good soccer players. When we started here, we weren't where we are now. So I think our reputation, our kind of, I guess, name per se has evolved over the years. So it's helped, and we're more of a known brand, I would guess, when you want to say, Rutgers Newark Soccer. So that does help, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to attract some very talented soccer players through the years, and I think this class is no exception. This year, we have some very talented guys that are going to help throughout their 4 years. Whether it be this year or in the beginning of the season, middle of the season, or if it's next year. We have a lot of confidence in the group that we brought in right now, and I think the future looks very good for us with this group.
Hopes are high. Would it be fair to say, Coach, there's a lot more parity throughout the NJAC conference with regard to men's soccer? I'll give you an example. 2016, clearly one of the pinnacles of this program under your tutelage and getting to an NCAA tournament, getting a win. Is it hard to predict when success comes? Talk a little bit about the competition in this conference And do you have any dates circled on the calendar for the two teams above you in the preseason poll?
Yeah.
There's a lot I threw at you, but break it down for us and we'll let you go.
If any coach can predict where they think they're going to be going into the season, I would be impressed with that, because I haven't been able to figure that out yet. I mean, I think as a coach overall, you have an idea, especially when you have some experience. Like I think I said at the beginning of the interview, I think we'll be able to compete with anybody. At the end of the day, is it going to be good enough to pull out those close results and get those points? Because in the last couple of years, that's probably been a little bit of our nemesis in terms of, did we, maybe nick out that one game, get that goal that made a difference for us, at the end when it came to postseason. Especially being the last two conference tournaments, we got knocked out both years off of PKs, so those things are hard to predict. But like I said, I think we'll be able to play with most anybody. No, I'm not going to say we have anybody circled.
All right, okay.
Everybody really nowadays, the way the NCAA works for bids and stuff, every game is really important, whether it be conference or not, because you don't know at the end of the season if that win or that loss is going to cost you something. I mean, obviously we want to do well in the conference play so we can get into the conference tournament and give ourselves a chance at a championship, but the way things are set up, it's kind of hard to value some games over others,
Gotcha. Some tough non-conference games as well. Coach East always putting together a very competitive schedule. It starts September 1st, Lebanon Valley, the 2023 men's soccer campaign, just a few days away from starting, and it couldn't be in better hands than with Coach Kevin East in his 17th season and the returning ECAC champions, Rutgers Newark. We look forward, Coach, to a great season. Thanks so much for stopping by and sitting down with us. Kevin East, head coach, Rutgers men's soccer. Folks, be sure to tune in to Scarlet Raider Vision this season, all season long. I'm John Heffernan, delighted to be bringing you the play-by-play this year. We expect great things from this bunch here at Frederick Douglass Field.